Pay attention to this satisfying-looking scene. A woman in a yellow coat walks through a parking lot at night. She knows someone is behind her. She can feel it. A man in a hoodie following at distance. She walks faster. Ahead of her, she sees another man leaning against a car. Big guy, just standing there. She thinks he might help. She approaches him. Her lips move. She's saying something, probably asking for help. Probably saying someone is following me. He doesn't move, doesn't look at her, doesn't respond. She waits 1 second, 2 seconds, nothing. She keeps walking. The man in the hoodie slows down and stops next to the big guy. They know each other. She realizes too late. She walks out of frame. That was the last time anyone saw Dr. Meredith Callahan alive. Her yellow coat was found 11 days later in a wooded area outside the city. Her body was never recovered. And the 2 men on that footage have never been charged. This is the story of how a doctor who did everything right became the target of a grief that turned into something else. And why the 2 people responsible are still free. Dr. Meredith Callahan was 35 years old, emergency room physician at St. Vincent Medical Center in Columbus, Ohio. She had been working there for 2 years. Night shifts mostly. She preferred them. The ER was different at night, quieter between the chaos, more time to actually talk to patients. She was good at her job, the kind of doctor who remembered faces, the kind who checked on patients even after her shift ended, the kind who chose this career because she genuinely wanted to help people. She lived alone in a small apartment near the hospital, close enough to walk on nice days. She had 4 cats, Oliver, Biscuit, Mango, and Professor Whiskers. That was her life outside work. Her cats, her books, her quiet routine. She wasn't married, no children, no boyfriend at the time. Her mother said she was married to her work and her cats, and that was enough for her. Her colleagues described her as dedicated and kind. The nurse who worked with her most often said Meredith was the doctor you wanted if your family member came into the ER. She cared. Actually cared. Not just professionally, but personally. On January 14, 2024, Meredith finished her shift at 11:47 p.m. 12 hours on her feet, 3 critical patients, 1 death that she couldn't prevent despite 40 minutes of trying. A hard night, even by ER standards. She walked to the staff parking lot like she did every night. Tired. Ready to go home. Ready to feed her cats and collapse into bed. She never made it to her car. 1 week earlier, something happened in that same hospital that would end Meredith's life. A woman named Rosa Bellow was brought into the ER. 61 years old, chest pains, shortness of breath, classic cardiac symptoms. Rosa was part of a gypsy family that had been living in a mobile home community about 40 minutes outside Columbus. A tight-knit group. They kept to themselves mostly. Rosa had never trusted hospitals. She had avoided doctors her whole life. But that night, the pain was too much. Her 3 children drove her to St. Vincent. 2 sons and a daughter. The sons stayed in the waiting room. They didn't like hospitals, didn't like authority, didn't like being around security cameras and people in uniforms asking questions. The daughter went in with Rosa. Her name was Elena, 27 years old, the only one in the family who dealt with paperwork and officials and anything that required talking to outsiders. That was her role. That had always been her role. Dr. Meredith Callahan was the attending physician. She ran tests. She ordered imaging. She did everything by the book. Rosa had suffered a massive heart attack. The damage was extensive. Meredith performed every intervention available, but Rosa's heart was too weak. She died at 3:42 a.m. on January 7, 2024. Meredith delivered the news to Elena in a small consultation room. She explained what happened. She explained that they had done everything possible. She expressed her condolences. Elena cried. Meredith held her hand for a moment. Then Elena walked out to the waiting room to tell her brothers. Meredith never saw the brothers. She never knew they existed. For her, the Bellow family was just Elena. a grieving daughter who had lost her mother. One of dozens of similar conversations Meredith had every month. She had no way of knowing that 2 men were sitting in that waiting room right now. 2 men who would spend the next week planning her death. 2 men whose faces she had never seen. Let me tell you about the Bellow brothers. Nicky Bellow was 30 years old, the older one. Big guy, over 6 feet, heavy-set, intimidating presence, the kind of man people crossed the street to avoid. He had been arrested twice for theft, and once for assault charges that were later dropped when the witness refused to testify. Dominic Bellow was 22, younger, smaller, quieter, always following his brother's lead, always in his shadow. He had juvenile records that were sealed and 2 arrests for shoplifting as an adult. Nothing major, nothing violent. Both brothers still lived in the mobile home community with their extended family, a gypsy community that had been in that area for over 20 years. They kept to themselves. They handled their own problems. They didn't trust outsiders, especially not police, especially not hospitals. Their father had left when Nicky was 8 and Dominic was still a baby. Rosa raised them alone. She worked cleaning houses for wealthy families in the suburbs. She never complained. She never asked for help from anyone outside the community. She was proud. She was strong. She was the center of their world. When Rosa started having chest pains, she refused to go to the hospital for 2 days. She said it was nothing. She said she just needed rest. By the time the pain became unbearable and her children forced her into the hospital car, it was already too late. Her heart was failing. Had been failing for months, probably. She just never told anyone. The night Rosa died, Nicky and Dominic sat in the hospital waiting room for 6 hours. They refused to go inside the ER. Too many cameras, too many questions, too many people in uniforms. Elena went back and forth bringing updates. Mom is stable. They're running tests. The doctor is with her now. Then, at 3:50 a.m., Elena walked out through those doors one last time. Her face said everything. She sat down between her brothers. She said, "Mom is gone." She said the doctor tried everything. She said there was nothing anyone could do. Nicky asked one question. Which doctor? Elena said her name. Dr. Callahan. Meredith Callahan. That was the first time Nicky heard that name. It would not be the last. Nicky didn't cry at the hospital. He didn't cry at the funeral. He sat in silence, staring at nothing. Dominic said his brother didn't speak for 3 days after Rosa died. When he finally did speak, he said one thing. That doctor let her die. Dominic tried to explain what Elena had told them. The heart attack was too severe. There was nothing anyone could do. Nicky didn't want to hear it. He needed someone to blame, someone specific, someone he could find. Elena tried to calm him down. She said the doctor was kind. She said the doctor held her hand when she cried. She said it wasn't anyone's fault. Nicky didn't care. He went online. He found the St. Vincent Medical Center website. He found the staff page. He found Dr. Meredith Callahan. Red hair, professional smile, emergency medicine. Now he had a face to go with the name. A face Meredith had never seen looking back at her. A face that was about to become the last thing she ever saw. In the days after Rosa's death, Nicky became fixated on one thing. The doctor. The woman who had been there when their mother died. He had her name. He had her photo from the website. He had never seen her in person. She had never seen him. That asymmetry was important. She had no idea he existed. No idea she was being watched. No idea that someone was learning her schedule while she went about her life thinking she was safe. Nicky drove to St. Vincent 3 times in the week after the funeral. He sat in the parking lot watching the staff entrance, learning which cars belonged to which people, learning the shift patterns, learning when the parking lot was empty and when it was full. He spotted her on the second visit. Red hair, yellow coat, walking to a silver Honda Civic in the staff section. She looked tired. She looked like someone who had just finished a long shift. She had no idea a man in a gray sedan was watching her from 50 feet away, memorizing her face. memorizing her car, memorizing her routine. He wasn't planning anything specific that day. Or maybe he was. Maybe he was waiting for the right moment. January 14th was that moment. Here is what the security footage shows. It was 11:52 p.m. Dr. Callahan exits through the staff door into the parking lot. She's wearing a yellow coat, hard to miss even in low light. Her red hair is visible. She walks at normal pace toward the far end of the lot where staff cars are parked. About 15 seconds later, a figure emerges from behind a parked van. Rosa Bellow, hoodie up, hands in pockets. He starts walking in the same direction, same path, following. Meredith notices. You can see it in how her posture changes. Her pace increases slightly. She looks back once. She keeps walking. She has no idea who this person is, just a man in a hoodie following her through an empty parking lot at midnight. Ahead of her, about 50 feet away, there's a man standing next to a gray sedan. Rosa Bellow, arms crossed, leaning against the car, just waiting. Meredith doesn't know him either. She has never seen his face before in her life. To her, he looks like a visitor, someone waiting to pick up a patient, someone who might help. A stranger, a safe stranger. She walks up to him. Her lips move. She's saying something. You can't hear it, but you can imagine. Someone is following me. Can you help? Please. Something like that. She chose him because he looked safe, because he was big and she was scared and there was no one else around. She had no way of knowing she was asking her mother's son for help. She had no way of knowing that this stranger knew exactly who she was, that he had been watching her for a week, that his brother was right behind her, that she had just walked into a trap. Nicky doesn't move. He doesn't look at her. He stares straight ahead like she doesn't exist. Meredith waits. 1 second, 2 seconds. Nothing. She turns and keeps walking, faster now. Behind her, Dominic has slowed down. He stops next to his brother by the gray sedan. They stand together, watching her walk away. Meredith exits the frame. The timestamp reads 11:54 p.m. The brothers remain in frame for another 8 seconds. Then they walk in the same direction she went. Out of frame. That's where the footage ends. That's the last record of Dr. Meredith Callahan alive. She was reported missing the next morning when she didn't show up for her shift. Her car was still in the parking lot. Her apartment was untouched. Her 4 cats were hungry and confused when police conducted a welfare check. The security footage was reviewed within hours. Investigators immediately focused on the 2 men. The older one was recognized by a detective who had arrested him 2 years prior on a theft charge. Rosa Bellow. Known to police, known address, known associates. Within 24 hours, both brothers were brought in for questioning. Here's where the case fell apart. Nicky and Dominic both told the same story. They said they were at the hospital that night to visit the chapel. St. Vincent has a small chapel open 24 hours for families dealing with loss. They said they went there to pray for their mother who had died in that hospital 1 week earlier. They said they parked in the visitor lot, walked to the chapel, stayed for about an hour, and then left. They said they never spoke to anyone. They said they didn't know who the woman in the yellow coat was. They said they didn't follow anyone. They said they didn't do anything wrong. Elena was questioned separately. She was cooperative. She was devastated. She told investigators that her brothers had been angry since their mother died. She told them about Nicky's obsession with blaming the doctor. She told them she had tried to explain that it wasn't anyone's fault. But she also said she had no idea they were planning anything. She said she never thought they would actually do something. She said she would have stopped them if she had known. Investigators believed her. She wasn't charged with anything. The footage shows the brothers in the parking lot, but it doesn't show them doing anything illegal. Standing in a parking lot isn't a crime. Not responding when someone speaks to you isn't a crime. Walking in the same direction as someone isn't a crime. There's no footage of what happened after Meredith walked out of frame. There's no footage of the brothers following her. There's no footage of anything. Police searched the mobile home community where the Bellows lived. They searched every trailer. They searched the surrounding woods. They brought dogs. They brought equipment. They searched every vehicle associated with the family. The extended family cooperated minimally. They answered questions with short responses. They let the police search, but they didn't volunteer anything. Nobody saw anything. Nobody heard anything. Nobody knew anything. The community closed ranks the way it always did when outsiders came asking questions. Investigators found nothing. No blood, no DNA, no sign of struggle. No evidence that Meredith Callahan had ever been anywhere near that mobile home park. Then, 11 days after she disappeared, a hiker found something in a wooded area about 30 miles outside Columbus. A yellow coat, partially buried under leaves and branches, like someone had tried to hide it quickly. The area was heavily wooded, remote, no trails nearby. The hiker only found it because his dog ran off and started digging. The coat was confirmed to belong to Meredith through DNA testing. Her hair was on the collar. The location was less than 2 miles from the mobile home community where the Bellow family lived. Investigators searched that area for weeks. They brought cadaver dogs. They used ground-penetrating radar. They dug in multiple locations. They found nothing else. No body, no other personal belongings, just the coat. The same yellow coat she was wearing in that security footage. Someone had taken it off her and buried it in those woods. And whoever did it knew the area well enough to choose a spot that would never be found if not for a random dog on a random day. The discovery of the coat intensified the investigation. Police brought the brothers back in. They questioned them for hours. Both maintained their story. Chapel. Prayer. Left. Didn't see anything. Didn't do anything. The coat being found near their community was a coincidence. Anyone could have put it there. Maybe someone was trying to frame them. They had lawyers now. Good ones. Paid for by the extended family. And the lawyers made a simple argument. Where is the evidence? The footage shows 2 men standing in a parking lot. It shows a woman walking away from them. It doesn't show violence. It doesn't show abduction. It doesn't show anything. The coat proves nothing except that it ended up in the woods. You can't charge someone with murder when you don't have a body and you don't have proof that a murder occurred. The prosecutor's office reviewed the case for months. In the end, they made a decision that still haunts the Callahan family. Insufficient evidence to proceed. No charges filed. Nikki and Dominic Bellow walked free. They still live in the same mobile home community. They still drive through Columbus occasionally. Some people say they've seen Nikki at St. Vincent's parking lot a few times since then, just sitting in his car, watching. Nobody can prove it. Nobody can do anything about it. Dr. Meredith Callahan has been officially missing for almost a year now. Legally, she won't be declared dead for several more years. Her apartment has been cleared out. Her cats were adopted by a colleague from the hospital. Her parking spot at St. Vincent remains empty most nights. The hospital installed additional cameras after her disappearance and added security patrols to the parking area. Changes that came too late for Meredith. Her family has never accepted the decision not to prosecute. Her mother gave one interview 6 months after the disappearance. She said, "My daughter spent her life helping people. She worked holidays. She worked nights. She missed family events because someone needed her at that hospital. And when she needed help, when she walked up to a stranger and asked for help, he just stood there. He knew what was going to happen. He knew, and he did nothing. Both of those men know where my daughter is. They know what they did, and they're out there living their lives while we don't even have a body to bury. I drive past that hospital sometimes. I sit in that parking lot where she was last seen. I think about her walking up to that man asking for help and getting nothing. That's what keeps me up at night. Not just that they took her, but that she asked for help, and help was standing right there and it just watched. Think about the last time you walked through a parking lot alone at night. Think about seeing someone behind you. Think about looking for help and finding someone just standing there. You would walk up to them too. You would think they might help. That's what anyone would do. Meredith did everything right. She noticed she was being followed. She didn't panic. She looked for assistance. She approached someone who looked like they could help. She asked. And the person she asked was the reason she needed help in the first place. She walked into a trap she couldn't see because the trap looked like safety. That's what makes this different. The predator wasn't hiding. He was standing in plain sight, waiting for her to come to him. The Bellow brothers blamed Meredith for something that wasn't her fault. Rosa Bellow had a massive heart attack. Her heart was damaged beyond repair before she ever reached the hospital. Meredith did everything medically possible. She followed every protocol. She made every correct decision. And none of it mattered. Because grief doesn't care about protocols. Grief doesn't understand that some people can't be saved. Grief looks for someone to blame. And Nikki and Dominic found their target. A woman who stayed late because she cared. A woman who delivered the news herself because she thought families deserved to hear it from the doctor. A woman who probably said, "I'm sorry for your loss," and meant it. And they killed her for it. There's something else that makes this case hard to forget. The moment she asked for help. Security footage is usually passive. You watch things happen. But in this footage, you can see the exact moment hope dies. Meredith approaches Nikki. Her body language shifts from scared to hopeful. She thinks she found safety. She speaks to him. She waits for a response. And you can see the exact second she realizes he's not going to help. You can see her body stiffen. You can see her turn away. You can see her walk faster. She knew then. Maybe not everything, but something. She knew that man wasn't there by accident, and she knew she was in trouble. She had maybe 30 seconds between that realization and whatever happened next. 30 seconds of knowing. I think about those 30 seconds. What was she thinking? Was she looking for her car? Was she hoping to make it? Was she thinking about her cats at home waiting for her? We'll never know. If you work in healthcare, watch this story carefully. If you work night shifts in any job, watch this story carefully. If you've ever walked through a parking lot and felt like someone was watching, watch this story carefully. Meredith Callahan did nothing wrong. She treated a patient. She followed every protocol. She delivered bad news with compassion, the way she had been trained to do. She walked to her car after work like she did every single night. And two men who couldn't accept that their mother died decided that she had to die too. They planned it. They waited for her. They learned her schedule. They boxed her in. And when she asked for help, when she walked up to Nikki Bellow thinking he might be someone safe, he stood there and let it happen. He looked straight ahead while his brother closed in behind her. He said nothing while she begged for help. He watched her walk away, knowing exactly what was about to happen. The footage shows everything except the ending. But we all know how it ended. Somewhere between that parking lot and those woods, Meredith Callahan stopped being alive. Somewhere in the darkness outside that camera's view, two brothers did something they can never take back. And they've never admitted it, never shown remorse, never given her family closure. They sit in that mobile home community and they know exactly where she is. They know, and they will never tell. That's the part that should terrify you. Not just that this happened, but that there was no justice, no arrest, no trial, no conviction, no answers. Just a yellow coat in the woods and two brothers who got away with murder because the camera stopped rolling 30 seconds too soon. The system failed Meredith twice. Once when no one in that parking lot helped her, and again when the justice system couldn't find enough evidence to prosecute. She asked for help and got silence. Her family asked for justice and got the same. If you know something about this case, if you've seen something, if you have any information that could help bring closure to the Callahan family, the tip line is still active. The case is still open. Someone, somewhere, knows what happened after Meredith walked out of that frame. Someone in that community knows where she is buried. Until that person comes forward, this story doesn't have an ending. Just a woman in a yellow coat walking toward two men who were waiting for her. One behind, one ahead. and nobody who would help. She spent her career saving lives, and when she needed saving, there was no one there. Remember that the next time you see someone who looks scared in a parking lot. Remember that the next time someone asks you for help, because Meredith asked. And the man she asked already knew she was going to die.